All right, so we're gonna go ahead and get it started. If you're in the chat, make sure you go to let me know. Yeah, let's go ahead and get started, man. What's good, everybody? Welcome back to the Life of a Champ podcast, episode 150. Big episode 150, man. A few things I want to say before I go ahead and get it started. Make sure you go ahead and follow me on TikTok, just Life of a Champ podcast on TikTok. Also, if you can't catch a full podcast or for whatever reason can never catch it live, make sure you go ahead and tap it with my YouTube shorts as well as my YouTube clips as well. Like I said, the YouTube clips are going to be around about 4 to 12 minutes. And obviously, the YouTube shorts are typically going to be about 60 seconds long. So I definitely have all this short content. So just for you guys, for sure, for sure. One thing I want to say before I go to get it started as well. Let me respond to some of these comments. Let's go back with another key podcast we need. Let's go, chat. Yeah, you already know what time it is, man. Appreciate it, man. Appreciate it, KJ. Jaden, I like your shirt. I like your shirt as well. Your shirt you was wearing today was nice as well. We'll get into that eventually, but yeah. So do I have anything else I want to say? So like I said, episode 150, we're going to be discussing, is this the correct path for you? Now this is going to be one that I'm going to go approach this episode a little bit differently than I would approach or how people would expect me to approach this specific episode. So I'm going to kind of give you my own personal view, and I want you to personalize it to yourself, right? That's pretty much what I want to do with most of these podcasts. I mean, I'm going to give you something that relates to my life, and hopefully you could take it back. You could take it back and apply it to your own life as well. So the first question I'm going to ask you, and this is going to be the main question that I'm going to be asking throughout this entire podcast, is this right here. If your favorite idols and inspirations knew of your journey and knew what you were doing and why you're doing it, what would they say and think, right? So I want you to think about this specifically. I want you to analyze the people, and hopefully you watching this admire somebody, or at the very least admire qualities about a certain person, whether this is a celebrity, whether this is somebody who's truly achieving something great within this life, whether this is an entrepreneur, whether this is an athlete, whatever it is, any person that you could truly hopefully take inspiration from. And I feel like a lot more men kind of have these type of good role models or good influences or good inspirations that can actually resonate with them, right? Out of all these people, if they knew exactly what you were doing, what would they say and what would they think about you doing that? Would they encourage you to do that? Would they tell you maybe, hey, maybe that's not going to be the best option for you? Or would they understand it? Right? I feel like these questions are going to be very, very key. First, you need to clarify who that is within your own life, right? Who do you feel, appreciate it, appreciate for stopping by. Who do you feel like truly has your best interest in mind out of viewing the content that you observe, or people that, like I said, just resonate with you in general, right? With all these people, and hopefully, like I said, hopefully these are some of your inspirations, right? What would they say and think if you told them about your journey? If you told them about the path that you're taking, would they, like I said, would they encourage you, or would they discourage you? Would they say, hey, maybe that's not going to be the right path. Maybe you should look at it from this specific angle, right? Or would they say, you know what, the route that you have chosen is the correct path, and I think that you should go ahead and pursue that. And I feel like for me, for example, when I've analyzed the people who I truly admire, or at least I admire certain qualities about them, I would say that they would pretty much all the same. They would say relatively the same thing, right? And it's because I move the ways that I do because I know I'd get respect from the people that I respect, right? They would truly, they will, and they would and will admire my work that I'm doing. The fact that I'm trying to put myself out there, the fact that I'm trying to work on the skills that I feel like are very, very essential to life, and to also give it in a way where I'm trying to help people as well. I feel like that'd be something that all of the people that I will mention for me, like I said, from my own personal experience, which are some of the people within the back, whether it's in my inspiration, obviously my Inspire poster that I have, or whether it's the records in the back from the artists that I truly admire for sure, or at least certain qualities about them that I admire. They would pretty much all say the same thing. They would understand that I'm doing it for the right reasons, and um, they would also see that I'm trying to emulate the certain qualities through my own personal work, right? That I observe within them, and I feel like that's very, very important. And with that being said, like I said, I'm gonna keep asking this question, and I want you to go ahead and answer for yourself, right? Is there certain people that you truly admire, First, hopefully you can answer that, and hopefully you can say yes. If you can't say yes, I don't know what to tell you. Um, you need some things to strive for. Of course, the top of this should be who you can potentially be, who your maxed out potential self is. That is going to be the top of hopefully who you admire and who you respect, and who is at the top of your inspirations, right? Who you could be, your potential. Now, with that being said, there's going to be men or men or women that do exist that have truly achieved or are in the process of achieving the things that you set out to go ahead and do for yourself. And those people, you need to analyze them, because the closer you can analyze them, the closer you can become just like them, right? And I feel like there's certain narratives that go around within society, and this is something that I'm observing time and time again. At least within some of my favorite creators as of recently, they say, "Hey, do not admire these certain men. These men are not worth admiring." And with anything, this would just go with any advice that you'd get from anybody, right? There's going to be certain qualities that you have within certain people that you truly want to go ahead and emulate, and there's going to be certain qualities that you can go ahead and discard. This goes with any type of content that you observe from any person on the internet, right? There's going to be certain content that I make that truly is going to resonate with you, and you truly will take and try to emulate it for yourself, or try to customize it to your own specific life. And there's going to be certain content that I talk about that truly does not apply to you, so therefore you discard it. And that's pretty much what anyone and everyone's going to do. Within any given thing, whether it's analyzing a person's character, or whether it's analyzing certain content, whatever it is, you're gonna take what I can actually stick with you, and you're gonna discard the rest. And with that being said, I would say you go about that same specific way with the people that you truly admire, the people that you observe, the people who are trying to achieve the same thing that you're trying to achieve, or who have already achieved the thing that you're trying to go ahead and achieve. So with that being said, hopefully they would understand your struggles. Hopefully they would understand the internal battles that go on within your own life. And hopefully they would respect a mindset, or the approach that you go ahead and take when it comes to developing your own personal craft. Because I can speak for myself, right? A lot of the people that I truly admire, they would truly understand the struggles and the internal battles that I face, and they would also respect the resilient approach and mindset that I have when developing my own personal craft, because it's something that is particularly similar to those certain type of people. So of course they're going to resonate with that as well. So for you, for example, you watching this right now, first question you need to answer is, who are these certain type of people who have already achieved the things that you want to go ahead and achieve within this life? Um, and then from those certain people, when it comes to evaluating your own personal journey, when it comes to analyzing your own personal journey, do you think that they would say positive things, or do you think they would say negative things? And hopefully they wouldn't say negative things, and hopefully you've done enough thinking when it comes to these certain things within your own life for you to go ahead and be confident within the answer that you do go ahead and give. Or maybe you're just trying to figure it out. And I feel like most people are probably going to be within this realm of just trying to figure it out, because quite frankly, there's so much distractions that exists within this world right now. And through all these distractions, trying to find some type of clarity is something that I'm trying to provide you guys with on this specific podcast, because I see so much gray area, so much bullshit, if I'm being honest, that does exist, and that is truly not going to be within your best interest. And with that being said, I want to go ahead and give you guys some clarity in a world filled with so much confusion. I want to be one of the lights of clarity. And with that being said, hopefully you could say those certain people, they would tell you to go ahead and pursue the path that you went ahead and chose. Or hopefully if you try to reconstruct that, let's just say you have no direction within this life, but you do have people that you admire, and you admire them for certain qualities that they do have. In order to attain those certain qualities that they do have, what do you think that you're going to need to go ahead and do? Let's just say, for example, let's just say you admire men that are in really good shape. Automatically off the rip, you're going to have an ideal for you to go ahead and strive for, right? You're going to say, okay, part of my journey is going to look like me getting in the best shape that I possibly can get in, because truly, the people that I admire, they would give me the advice that would suggest for me to go ahead and get in the best shape of my life, right? And hopefully, the people that you go ahead and admire are going to be those certain type of people. And maybe it's getting into the gym, maybe it's researching a certain subject, maybe it's particularly going into a certain field or craft. Maybe it's music, maybe it's business, maybe it's sports, whatever it is, right? These certain things, hopefully you can take from those certain type of people, instead of just it's instead of just trying to just figure it out by yourself, you having these ideals to truly strive for is going to put you in a good position to go ahead and know exactly what path that you want to go ahead and take within this life. And I could say it for myself. So I'll give you some of the people that I truly admire, and this is pretty much what I'm going to get back to what I did yesterday, because this is going to be very, very important to the topic that I have for today. Give me 1 second. All right, so let's get into it. Let's get into it. Like I said, if you're in here, make sure to leave a comment, just like I see who's in here. Also, if you have any questions regarding anything that I'm mentioning, or if there's anything that I'm saying that resonates with you, make sure to go ahead and leave in the comments. So, for me personally, right, rappers like Drake, Big Sean, J. Cole would be some of the people who would understand the ways in which I'm moving and why I've chosen the route that I have chosen, right? Why I'm trying to acquire, and in the process of acquiring certain skills and habits, they would understand all of these things. That would resonate with them, because that would relate to some point in their life that I'm in within my own personal life, right? Or maybe it's certain athletes like Devin Booker, Steph Curry, and Kobe Bryant. Those are some of my biggest inspirations for sure. And those would also be some of those types of people who would recognize a certain resilience that I have within my mindset and with my approach of how I approach my craft. And they would truly be able to sit back and say, "Champ, you're definitely doing something right in a world filled with so much people doing things wrong. You're definitely doing something right, and you're definitely trying to help the people out," which is something that I also observe within all those people that I have already mentioned, whether it's the Drake, Big Sean, J. Cole, or any of the athletes that I've mentioned. They all try to go ahead and help the people around them. Truly, they have a lot. They have a good support system, and with that good support system, obviously you need a good support system to get anywhere, to achieve any type of success. But with that being said, those certain people, love it. Like they have loved ones that support them, and they want to go ahead and do and give everything to those certain type of people as well, which is also an admirable quality, at least within my own uh, personal observations. Or maybe it's certain intellectuals that I go ahead and admire for sure. Maybe this is going to be, or like I said, intellectuals or businessmen that I go ahead and admire. Whether it's like the Jordan Petersons, the Patrick Bet Davids of the world, the Andrew Tates, who would truly understand the path that I'm going ahead and taking, because truly, within their own personal life and all the people that I have mentioned, they've taken a similar path. They have done certain things. They've avoided certain things. They've came across the same type of problems. They came across the same internal struggles, and they all these people had to develop a certain resilience within their mindset and within their approach to their craft that would allow them to succeed at a high level. And with that being said, analyzing all those people, um, and I thankfully have a lot, because quite frankly, I think it's a worthy use of your time, instead of watching a movie that's really not going to help your life out, or watching a show, or watching some anime, or playing some video games. I much rather would be researching a person that I truly admire and certain qualities that I admire within this person, and I would try to the best to try to emulate it within my own personal character, because quite frankly, life is a video game in itself, and you can do these things and build these skills based off of that. And that is what I've done. This is what I've researched. This is what I've um, felt like was a worthy use of my time. Not only building up what I feel like I need to build up for this world, but also admiring the people that I truly am inspired by, and analyze what they've done and the impact that they've made within the world, and how they went ahead and made it, and try to emulate that myself, like I had mentioned, right? So see, these certain people need to be very, very clear for you, and hopefully you have somebody that's an ideal to strive for, or maybe you have hopefully a few people where you have an actual ideal for you to go ahead and strive for. Because if you don't, then truly, how are you going to analyze and be clear with what specifically you want? I feel like that's very, very key. Or maybe it's I also enjoy these people as well. Maybe it's my favorite free thinkers like Dave Chappelle, Joe Rogan, and my favorite YouTuber Hamza. These people would all understand the journey and the internal struggles that I'm going through, and also why I've chosen the route that I have chosen, right? And one thing I want to mention with this as well, and I feel like this is very, very pivotal, right? The way that I look at it personally, and I do believe I'm going to meet these people that I have mentioned. I'm going to come across. Our paths are going to cross at some point in time. You can call me crazy, you can call me silly, whatever you would like. I don't really care, but I'm going to meet these people eventually. And what I will say though is when if I'm able to go ahead and display my mission and display my vision and have a good conversation with these certain type of people, they're going to say, "Champ, you've chosen the right path, right? You've chosen the right path. You're doing the right thing. You're doing it for the right reasons, and they would not say, you know what, you should have done this, you should have done this, you should have avoided this. They're hopefully going to speak nothing but highly of me, and that's something that I feel like a lot of people can truly internalize within their own personal journey, right? If you have these certain people that you believe that they have an ideal for you to go ahead and strive for, if you believe that they have certain qualities about them that is admirable and something that you're trying to emulate within your own self, if you had a conversation and sat down with them and went over your entire life's journey as far as what you're trying to go ahead and pursue within your own purpose, right? If you're able to think about the things that they would say, or maybe the critiques that they would have, or maybe you're considering doing a certain decision, you can analyze these things and saying, okay, well, I think I know how this person would go about this problem. Or let's just say you're going through your own personal struggle, right? You would say, okay, this person would go about this struggle this specific way because this is the best move. This is what they believe to be the best move on the chessboard. And you can analyze it for all these individual people and then come to the conclusion yourself and saying, with all these people, like I said, hopefully you admire their judgment and you admire their problem solving abilities, right? When it comes to a problem that you have within your own life, you must analyze the way that they would react to these certain things, and of course, make the final decision saying, "Hey, my highest self, my best potential self, would make this decision based off of all these other people's hopefully well vetted um, problem solving abilities and good judgment." Of course, you would analyze that, make a decision for yourself, and then move forward with that. And like I said, if these certain people would say, "Hey, maybe that's not going to be the best move on the chessboard," then quite frankly, you know exactly what you need to do. There's truly no other option besides listening to yourself, listening to that internal dialogue that hopefully you have, and if you don't have, well, hopefully you get it one of these days. So, like I had mentioned, I'm gonna ask the question again because this is gonna be a question that I revise within this podcast a few times now, right? If you if your favorite idols and inspirations knew of your journey and they knew what you were doing and why you were doing it, what would they say and what would they think about it? I want you to go ahead and leave it in the comments. Maybe you feel like you're on the right path. I want you to go ahead and let me know in the comments whether you're watching this or watching this live. Or maybe you feel like you're not on the right path. Maybe you feel like the people that you truly admire would critique these certain things about your life. I want you to go ahead and leave in the comments because, like I had mentioned, this podcast is trying to help people out. And with that being said, maybe I can give you some advice, or maybe somebody in the comments can give you some advice pertaining to your certain situation. All right, go ahead and leave in the comments. I'll read some of these comments real quick. Life really is like a video game. You must continue to learn new things and new strategies to level up. If you continue doing the same stuff even though you keep failing, you'll be stuck. The only reason people choose to progress in video games and not life is because they don't actually have to experience the pain. You're exactly right. And they give themselves the illusion that they're actually leveling up, when in reality, you can truly level up in real life and you don't have to do it in a video game. The reason why people are so drawn to video games in general is because it gives them a visual representation of actual progress. When in reality, you could be making progress in the real world, right? You don't need a video game to go ahead and do that. You don't need anything else besides the life that you have and the decisions that you're going to make within this life that's going to give you that same type of effect, but actually mean something, and not just mean absolutely nothing, of course. So that is what I pretty much have for today's podcast, man. Like I said, I want to know your guys' input, whether you're watching this or watching this live. What do you guys think about this particular idea? And I'm going to repeat the question one more time. If your favorite idols or inspirations knew of your journey, they knew what you were doing and why you were doing it, they truly understood it, they had a conversation with you, and you broke it down for them, saying, hey, I truly admire these certain qualities about you, and I truly did admire these certain qualities about you, and I went about it this specific way, and my journey ended up this way because of this reason, and I've chosen these certain decisions within my own personal life because I admired these certain qualities about you, so therefore I implemented within my own life, right? Would they be proud of you, or would they not be proud of you? Would they give you certain critiques, or would they give you the certain encouragement that you would need to go ahead and push forth, right? This is something that I've thought about time and time again. Let's just say, for example, one of my biggest inspirations, Big Sean. He's a person that I truly admire, and he's helped me develop the ideas that I do have today. And with that being said, if I truly had a conversation and sat down with him, and I gave him the entire game plan of what most people, most people watching this truly do not know, he'd be like, "You're making the right decision. You're doing the same thing that I'm doing, but you're just doing it in a different way." I truly believe I would have that certain type of conversation with all these people that I have mentioned. And that is why I made the decision for my own personal self. Like I said, for you, what do you feel like you need to do? What are certain decisions you feel like you need to make? And when it comes to these certain people who potentially you could be having a conversation with in the future. And hopefully if you work your ass off enough, you will sit down with these people and these people will meet you. Not only will you meet them, but they will, and more importantly, meet you. What would they say about your journey, man? Would they be proud of you or would they not be proud of you? You never know what can happen within this life, so do not set any type of limitations within this existence because, quite frankly, you should be living in a world with hopefully no limit. The sky is the limit, hopefully. But yeah, just these certain things got me thinking, man. So I'll give you reference. Hold up, give me a second, fellas. The reason I even mentioned this on today's podcast is because yesterday, shout out to Bree and shout out to Jaden. I went to the Drake concert in Arizona, and it was a top 5 moment of my entire life. That's what I'll say for sure. And I'll show you my shirt as well. Hold up, give me a second. I'll show you the shirt that I got, just to give you some reference and actually what it looks like. Come on now. Yes, sir. So just go ahead and I'll just show you the merch I got. Come on now, you already know what time it is. But with that being said, there are certain things that when it comes to my own personal journey, the reason why I resonate so much with Drake is because he's one of the people that has shaped my taste for music, because he was one of the first people that truly I found a liking to when it comes to listening to music. And with that being said, just replaying his entire catalog of his music. Obviously, it's called "It's All a Blur" tour, and basically he's playing music from like I said, all the albums that I have right here are some of the albums that he played. The ones right above my head are going to be the majority of the concert that I went to, and the majority of the music that was played at the concert. And with that being said, it just gave me a lot of time to truly reflect in kind of the places I was when I was listening to these certain types of music, right? And with that being said, it allowed me to view my own self and put myself in these certain positions where I remember the problems that I was going through within these certain periods of time. I remember these certain events that were happening when I was listening to this certain type of music, when it was actually, I would say more relevant, right? Not to say that his music's irrelevant or any of his old music's irrelevant, but let's just say more relevant. And with that being said, I could not help but just be truly inspired by the message that he was putting out, not only through his music and the way he goes about relating with people, but also the message that he's truly trying to put out and trying to truly relate with people, and trying to get people, even people that truly live a different existence in a different realm of reality. He still finds a way to go ahead and relate with them, and that's something that I truly admire as a creator myself. Right? Obviously, he's a creator of music, and all these people that I mentioned are creator of something. But nonetheless, we're all creators within this. And, you watching this right now, hopefully you strive to be a creator as opposed to a person who just watches people create things. Because, quite frankly, life as a creator, whatever it is for you, is going to be a much greater existence, a much more fruitful existence. And hopefully one of these days you can get paid for doing what you love to do and being exactly who you are. And that is the most ideal life, in my opinion. So that is why I've chosen, because I've recognized all the people that I have mentioned. Like I had mentioned, the rappers, Drake, Big Sean, J. Cole, the athletes that I had mentioned earlier as well, the Devin Booker, Stephen Curry, and Kobe. Shout out to Kobe, come on now. Or my favorite intellectuals, like I said, Jordan Peterson, Patrick Bet-David, Andrew Tate, all these certain people, right? With analyzing all these certain people, they're all creators of something, right? The greatest people that you truly can admire are going to be the creators of something, whether it's a book, whether it's a business, whether it's whatever. They're a creator. Nonetheless, this is why I stress for people to be a creator of something. And one thing I like and admire about all these people is not only do they love what they do, but they get paid for being who they actually are. Instead of just working for somebody, instead of just going for a quick lucrative gain, or choosing a path where they could have got maybe a large abundance of money, but they would have had to compromise their life, or compromise their character, or compromise their time. They chose a route to go ahead and create something, because creating something is better than watching everyone else create something, right? Now, you could reap all the benefits from the people that go ahead and create things, but nonetheless, and I'm going to stress this, like I said, if you're a person that's not taking the action of creating something for somebody else, creating a bigger impact for this world, then I truly personally believe that you're not making the right decision, because all the people that are truly worth admiring within this life somehow, some way are creator of something, whether they created themselves to be great, or whether they created a business, whether they created a product of some type, um, that allowed them to be recognized and allowed their ideas to be put on display. That is what I'm doing with this podcast. And like I had mentioned, all those people that I had mentioned, they would evaluate what I'm doing and the personal interests that I have, and they would say, "Champ, you're making the right decision." And having those conversations, and eventually having those conversations, it's going to be one of those moments where you just sit back and say, "I've done what I needed to do." And hopefully one day, you watching this right now, or maybe you even doing this, maybe you're doing this right now, where you can look back and say, you could sit down with yourself and say, I'm doing the things that I know I need to do. I'm being the person that I know I need to be for the people around me, right? That is ultimately going to be the message that I want to spit out for today's podcast is, are you being the person that you truly need to be? The people that you admire, would they tell you the same thing? Would they give you the reassurance to keep pushing forth on what you're going ahead and pursuing within this life? Or would they tell you to make another decision? Would they tell you, "Hey, you need to critique"? I would critique these certain types of things about you. These certain things are still problems that you're dealing with, and you need to handle these certain problems. What would they say? You need to analyze what they would say, make the adjustments, and like I had mentioned, hopefully you're going to be recognized in this, and hopefully by me saying the quote, which like I said, I never even thought of until right now. You either are a creator of something, or you're nothing more than an observer of everyone who creates something else. It's simple as that, man. It's as simple as that. For me personally, like I said, I was a person who admired a lot of people and how they created certain things, whether it's a career for themselves, whether it's an entire catalog of music, whether it was a collective of ideas, or whether it was a business, right? I admired all these things and said for myself, I can do the same thing that they can do, which is create something. Because quite frankly, hopefully, I've learned enough to go ahead and provide you guys with some type of value. And just as all these people, like I had mentioned, right, all these people and all the people within your life, hopefully that resonate with you, have been able to create a certain type of value to make people truly feel special and truly feel like they can achieve something within this life. And hopefully you're one of the people that was impacted by that. And with that being said, just create something, man. Just create something. Analyze to see if you have chosen the right things that you need to go ahead and choose within this life. Are you making the correct decisions? Are you doing the things that you know you need to do? Are you being the person that you know you need to become for other people? For yourself, of course, but for other people more importantly, because quite frankly, hopefully you're trying to leave an impact that is just bigger than your own life. That is why I've chosen the route that I've chosen, right? And yeah, that's pretty much what I have to say for today's podcast, man. I appreciate you for stopping by. If you do have anything that you want to mention regarding anything that I'm mentioning, definitely leave it in the comments. I'll leave you guys off for a few more minutes, and then I'll go and end it off. But I pretty much said what I feel like I needed to say for today's podcast. But like I said, analyzing your own personal life is going to be something that is very, very key within this life, right? Are you making the correct decisions? Are you choosing the correct path for your life? Can you see yourself or feel yourself not taking the correct path that you know you need to be taking? Can you see yourself making decisions that you truly know deep down that is not truly not the best decision for your life? Or are you doing everything that you know you need to go ahead and do? And hopefully it is that second one right there, right? Hopefully you are doing everything that you need to do. Hopefully you are being everything that you need to be for everybody else. Because if you're not, you're gonna live within regret in this life, and regret is going to be one of the worst feelings that you could possibly ever feel in. It is one of the worst vibrations to ever be in. Period. Especially with how long life is. Imagine you not being able to fulfill your potential, and imagine the rest. Let's just say 20, 30 years from now, where you're living a life, not only where you have to deal with certain problems and handle the stresses of life, but you also have to deal with the eternal stress that has been placed on your shoulders for the rest of your existence that suggests that you have not fulfilled your potential. Imagine how you would feel. You'd feel very, very uncomfortable. You'd feel very dissatisfied with life. But you watching this right now, you have the ability to go ahead and change that feeling for yourself. Because if you do nothing within this life, or if you do nothing, if you take no action, then you're putting yourself in a position and you're setting yourself up for that feeling that I had mentioned, right? That feeling that no one wants to feel. That feeling that if you're truly feeling this, it's truly not going to be the best emotion that you could ever feel within this life. And I do believe the best emotion that possibly you can feel within this life is going to be the emotion of affecting other people's lives based off of something that you created yourself, giving them some type of value in return for their time, for their for their time, for their attention, for whatever it is. I do believe that that is something that I've chosen to go ahead and do. Right, this is something this is the reason you're even watching this podcast right now, is because I have analyzed the people that I truly felt like were worth analyzing within this life. I admired the certain things about these certain characters. And like I mentioned, some people have a problem with people idolizing certain people, but I feel like for example, I idolize the best within people. I don't particularly idolize a person. I idolize who they are to me and what they mean to me, and not as much as the actual person that does exist, right? But nonetheless, there's going to be certain problems that people have went through in order to become that certain person that you truly can admire and truly can resonate with. Um, yeah, like I said, there's going to be certain things that you're going to be going through within your own life, and you can probably relate that back specifically to something that was a problem within one of these people's lives, right? So for me, for example, I'll just give you a few examples that I kind of like, I can kind of like relate to my own personal life. So, like I had mentioned, I'm gonna mention this again because quite frankly, this is gonna be one of the biggest examples. I'll mention two, right? Big Sean and Drake. Like I said, they're going to be some of my biggest inspirations. Drake for the sake of obviously I went to his concert yesterday, so for that, for example, right, there was going to be a certain point of his life where he decided to go ahead and stop acting, and he wanted to be a creator of music, right? And there was a period of time where there was going to be a struggle where he was not going to be as good, where he was sharpening his skills, and that is where I feel that I am right now. I'm a person who's sharpening his skills and making the decisions that's going to put me on the path that will forever change my life, right? And with that being said, Big Sean, for an example, right? There's certain moments within his music that I truly can pick out and say, I can tell that he is exactly he was in that music exactly where I am right now within my own life, right? And hopefully for the people that you go ahead and admire and for the people that you're inspired by, hopefully you can do the same thing. Hopefully you can analyze their lives and saying, "Hey, I remember when he was at the beginning of his journey, he was doing this certain type of thing. He was going through this type of struggle. He needed to get over this certain type of problem in order to become the person that he knows he needs to go ahead and become or that she needs to go ahead and become." And you could truly find a lot of power within that. That is something that I have done time and time again, and something that I feel like goes very very much understated. And I feel like a lot of people they don't truly have this feeling. But if you're able to tap into this, it's gonna put you in a great position because truly it did for me. And I only can speak for myself in this life, but through the people that I have truly admired and truly have been inspired by, it's definitely helped me. It's definitely helped me get past the certain moments that I needed to get past. Helped me to get over certain problems that I had, because I said everybody goes through problems. Everybody has these moments of internal struggle, but it's how you go about them. It's the mindset that you approach it with. It's thinking long term instead of thinking of the short term. It's thinking about the grander vision as opposed to thinking about the current situation that you're in right now. It's about emphasizing the fact that you need the supporters instead of saying that you don't need supporters at all, right? You'll see a certain narratives within society saying, "Yeah, I didn't need anybody." That's a lie, man. That's a lie. There's no one who has ever done anything worth admiring or worth respecting has done it alone. Truly, they did it with the power of the people around them. That is just how humans work in general, right? They work best when they're in groups. That's just the way it is, as opposed to being individual. But like I had mentioned, I'm gonna ask you the question one more time before I go to end it off, man. If your favorite idols or inspirations knew of your journey and they knew what you were doing and they knew why you were doing it, what would they say and what would they think? Would they say, "You know what? You're making the right decision for your life," or would they say, "Maybe you need to take a step back. You need to analyze a few things before you go ahead and finalize this decision," or would they maybe they would say, I wouldn't go about this certain issue this specific way because within my own personal life, I had a similar problem and I went about it this certain way, and maybe I learned from that experience because, quite frankly, it wasn't a favorable result. And maybe you're thinking about the same thing for your own personal life, and maybe potentially it doesn't give you a favorable result, right? Viewing it from that specific way is going to give you so much power, like I had mentioned. It's going to give you a different level of internal reflection that I do believe goes understated, and something that, like I had mentioned, has truly been a value within my own personal life, and that's why I'm speaking on it today, because I don't see anybody really talking about these certain things. Um, and like I said, at the top of all these things, the person that I admire the most is the potential champ that can exist. And hopefully, you watching this, hopefully, out of all the people that do exist within this real world, the person that you have at the very, very top of all these things, obviously, is yourself. Who you could be should be up there. Obviously, along with God, should be up there above everything else. But who you potentially could be, more importantly, because that is actually something that you can strive for. That is something that you actually can attain. That is something that you actually can control. And with that being said, even having that sense of knowing that you could potentially control how far you go in this life and the potential that you can go ahead and reap within this life, that should give you a lot of comfort, hopefully. Now, it's a lot of pressure, it's a lot of stress, but nonetheless, it's something that is within your control. You can't just delegate it and saying it's not within your control, because it truly is within your control. But yeah, like I had mentioned, right? I'm gonna ask the question one more time, and I want to see people commenting, right? I see a lot of you guys watching. Go ahead and leave a comment if any of the things that I'm mentioning are going ahead and resonate with you. The question is this: if your favorite idols or inspirations knew of your journey, they knew what you were going through and why you were doing it, what would they say and what would they think? Like I had mentioned for me before on this podcast, all the people that I truly admire, all the people that truly have created something within their own life of value for other people would say, "Champ, you're doing the right thing. You've analyzed all the decisions that you possibly could have made. You've avoided certain traps and certain mindsets that went ahead and destroyed a lot of people before you. But nonetheless, you've analyzed the chessboard and have made the best decision for your own life based off of what you believe to be of value," right? And this goes hand in hand with any of these things, right? Whether it comes to admiring somebody or whether it comes to, trying to figure out what specifically you want within this life, analyzing what you value. What is at the top of your value hierarchy? This is a conversation I had recently with KJ. Shout out to KJ. But within the conversation that we had, I wanted to go ahead. I wanted him to make a list for himself, right? What do you truly value within this life, right? Because if you can analyze what you value and the qualities that you want to be like, you have an ideal to strive for, as opposed to not having an ideal to strive for at all. Most people in this life, unfortunately, they live a very, very aimless life. They're nothing more than a victim of the circumstance, right? The circumstance being their life that they live. And then they just live with the results that do exist instead of understanding that they can make a change and that they have absolute control over this life, right? The second you're able to do that, and the second you're able to come to these realizations, and the second you're able to be very, very clear on what you want to go ahead and value, or what you go ahead and value, and the life that you want to live, and the identity that you want to uphold, the much better off you're going to be when compared to the people that do exist around you. This is something that I've analyzed time and time again within the people that are around me all the time. Not to say that I personally keep a lot of great people around me, right? But when it comes to the people that truly I don't know, that do happen to exist within my own life, I analyze them. I analyze them just to see exactly if they know what they're doing with this life, or if they're just doing this life, right? There's people that live life, and there's people that know how to live life, right? And you must shape yourself in order to be a person who knows how to live life instead of just, being a victim of life, right? Lazy people lazy people want much but get little, but those who work hard will prosper. Yep, you're exactly right, Jaden. You're exactly right. Or that quote is right, whatever you would like to say, right? But nonetheless, I hope you can take something from this specific podcast. If you can't take anything from this podcast, hopefully you've already applied this, or maybe you view it as silly, whatever it is. This is hopefully going to affect at least some people watching this. Like I said, this is something that has made such a big impact within my own life. This is why I've done all the things that I have done. This is why I have made the decisions that I have made, and partially is because, and mostly is because of the people that I truly admire and truly are inspired by. Like I said, I truly have an inspiration poster right next to my head right here, and have all these records in my back because these are people that I truly admire, that I truly recognize that they have created something for other people, that have created something of great value for other people to go ahead and reap the benefits of. And I'm nothing more than an example of all these people who tried to do something and they actually did it. Right? You could do this for other people, man. That's something I want to stress as well. To end this podcast, the message that I have at the end of this podcast is this. You can create something within this life. I encourage you to create something instead of observing everybody else's creations. You could be something, you could be a person to somebody that they're truly inspired by you creating something of value, as opposed to not creating anything of value. Instead of just being a user of everybody who's truly giving value, right? Be a person who gives value within this life. Be a person who creates something of value that you can give to people. And you're going to be in a good position, and not only you're going to be in the best position you possibly can be in, but you're also going to live the best life you possibly can live. I do believe that. You're going to live the most fulfilled life that does exist within this game of life. But yeah, that is what I have to say for today's podcast. I appreciate everyone stopping by. Like I said, if you're watching this, go ahead and let me know in the comments. But other than that, is there anything else I want to mention? I'm coming up on the end of my monk mode. I'll say that. I'll mention this. I'm coming at the end of my monk mode. The end of my monk mode period is going to be tomorrow. So if I give you a quick synopsis of that, I would say I definitely learned a lot about myself. I learned more about what I want to do. I learned a lot more of the person that I want to go ahead and become. And it's giving me great moments of clarity. I haven't been exactly living the full potential of that, and that's just me being honest with myself. But nonetheless, it's giving me a good solid foundation to go ahead and base off of the next monk mode period that I will go ahead and have whenever that will be. I'm looking at October or November being my next monk mode period of 60 days. If you're a person that's never done monk mode or is curious of even what I'm talking about right now, I definitely go ahead and implore you to go ahead and watch the podcast that I did on the other day, talking about monk mode. It is something that truly, if you want to go ahead and get ahead within this life and you want a fast track to go ahead and do it, and you have a moment where you can stay disciplined within the habits and within the identity that you want to go ahead and uphold, that is going to be what I recommend. Like I said, it's something that I've recognized within my own personal life has helped me in so many ways, and especially within my own personal mind, that is giving me a lot of clarity and giving me a lot of direction. So if you're a person seeking more clarity and more direction, that is something that I go ahead and admire, or I go ahead and expect you to go ahead and do it, honestly. But other than that, hope you guys have a good rest of your nights. The next podcast will be on, give me 1 second. The next podcast will be on Thursday of next week. I will not be having another one on this upcoming Tuesday, just to let you guys know. So definitely tap in with the next podcast on Thursday. I'll be having another music live stream here soon as well. So if you like music and want to go ahead and tap in with that, definitely go ahead and tap in for sure. But other than that, is there anything else I want to say? I'll just wrap it up, man. This is episode 150 of the Life of a Champ podcast, discussing the life that you go ahead and choose within this life, right? What path are you choosing, and is it the correct path for you? Are you making the decisions that you know you need to make, and being the person that you need to be? Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and end you guys off with the podcast motto. Fellas out here, man, we don't just work around here, man. We outwork. So make sure y'all working these motherfuckers, because you know that I am. You already know what time it is, my man. So y'all have a good rest of your night. Stay tuned for the podcast on Thursday. And like I had mentioned, make sure y'all working these motherfuckers, man, because somebody got to do it, and it has to be you. It has to be us, matter of fact. So y'all have a good night, man.